music-driven noise, yeah, the mess we make. Machine Pun Kelly get caught in the fray. Facts and logic with a twist of chest. Strip it down to truth, yeah, forget the rest. Humor pulls the lies right out of the park. Look beyond the shadows that set the dark. Sparks of laughter fire up the night, bringing clarity when they blur the fight. Cut through the chaos, yeah, the tangled lies. Machine Pun Kelly with the set of clear eyes. Truths and jokes gonna rock this show. Step into light where the real facts glow.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Punch Show. I see there's some folks coming in from Twitter. I'm trying something a little differently today. Normally, I broadcast to Twitter on the horizontal feed, but I'm trying the vertical feed to see if that makes any difference to anybody. So if you're on Twitter and you want me to know, once you prefer, go ahead and I'll take that feedback into consideration. But I noticed that on YouTube, the vertical feed does a lot better. And you can do both on YouTube. You can only do one or the other on X, I guess it's called. Ha ha ha. Anyway. Same thing on Facebook. If you're joining me on Facebook, let me know if you prefer the vertical or the horizontal feed. I'm just trying something new today, and Twitch. I usually go to at least Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. So anyway, we are talking about. Hi, Silver. How you doing today? I just figured out your name is Silver Server. Like Silver Surfer? Is that like it's a play on Silver Surfer? That's kind of actually a cool name. I like that. Today I'm going to be talking about I'm a little slow on the uptake. You'd think with a name like Machine Pun Kelly I would have picked up on the pun earlier, but you know. We're talking about the drift into authoritarianism, Trump's drift into authoritarianism. There's a number of things that are in the news today on that. But before I get on all that, I wanted to just talk about Hillary Clinton testifying about the Epstein files. Like, of all the people that are there that they could interview, I do not for the life of me understand what light Hillary Clinton is going to shed on this topic. There was Comer was saying, well, he gave money to the Clinton Foundation, and so he's looking at those connections as though being donated by money by somebody makes you like somehow conspiring with him. He gave money to lots of people. He had lots of money to give, and he didn't always do it like as a philanthropic endeavor. It was always to get connections. But as far as anybody knows, she's never even had a conversation with Jeffrey Epstein, and had no part in his no connection to his criminal enterprise. And so there's all kinds of people that aren't being questioned. None of the Republicans could show up for what's his name's questioning. So anyway, I don't understand why. I understand why Bill Clinton's being, subpoenaed, but I just truly do not understand why Hillary Clinton is being subpoenaed. And when they're going You know, so like Olivia says Hillary was Bill and Trump's fixer. Yeah, that's just noise. That's, I mean, whatever that's supposed to mean, it, you know. Yeah, Hillary Clinton is Trump's fixer. That's such a, like, that's just, are you serious? Is that like, are you a troll like this? Yeah, nobody can see this. Does anybody believe that for real? Like, or did people just say stuff because they can say it? Yeah, Hillary Clinton was Trump's fixer. Right. I don't see how you can be serious about that, Olivia. I honestly don't. That's just nonsensical. Hillary Clinton does not like Donald Trump, and Donald Trump does not like Hillary Clinton. I think that's plainly obvious. His fixer was Michael Cohen. Doesn't have anything at all to do with Jeffrey Epstein. It's just, anyway. What did who say, Ryan? Bill Clinton. What did Comer say? Comer was saying it was all about the Clinton Foundation. That money got donated to the Clinton. Epstein donated money to the Clinton Foundation, which I guess if you're investigating the Clinton Foundation for some reason, then that would be a valid thing. But to investigate, you know, like to make somebody out of all the people he donated money to, like he was like he donated a lot of money to things. The reason people kept asking him to donate money to things is because he kept donating money to things. It was all part of his thing. His way to connect to people was to donate money. But anyway, I have no idea why she is being interviewed. You want to talk about Bill Clinton being interviewed? Fine. He didn't really seem to have any connection on that side of things anyway, either. But, you know, like there was some times when Epstein got invited to the White House or something. Maybe he could answer some questions about that. I don't understand why he needs to testify in person. Why just the written responses aren't enough for that. It just seems like it's more of a political thing. That you have somebody that admittedly went to Epstein Island, that said under oath he went to Epstein Island, and you're not gonna, you can't subpoena him, but you can subpoena Bill Clinton. You can. Why aren't any of the people that we talked about yesterday that are connected to his actual crime enterprise? Why aren't any of them being subpoenaed? Yeah, we're not talking about Hillary Clinton here. We're talking about the thing. I like. I don't think we need to. Like, this is not. We're not going to chase down the Hillary Clinton conspiracy theory rabbit holes. Pizzagate was real. No, Pizzagate was not real. Okay, so let's talk about the thing I want to talk about today, which is this authoritarian overreach of Donald Trump. There's just a number of things that have come out in the last 48 hours, which are just extremely concerning. Everybody keeps, you know, like you get MAGAs like Illuminator here. Very, very. Oh, Scott thinks I should dye my hair blue and get a nose ring because I don't know why. That's kind of like, okay, if you're a liberal, you know, all liberals meet this stereotype that you have, and therefore, if anybody doesn't meet that stereotype, they need to meet that stereotype. That's such a weird thing. That's like me saying you need to. Well, never mind. I don't need to dye my hair blue. Most Democrats do not have blue hair. All right. Oh, whoops. What's going on? Did I? Okay. Forgot to delete that card. Okay. So there's a number of things that are going on. There's the Minnesota Medicaid freeze, the Iran war preparation, his Supreme Court defiance on tariffs, and the Anthropic arm twisting. Like 4 different situations that are going on that have this one common thread of an authoritarian overreach. He is just defying the Constitution. He's defying the separation of powers. He's just completely off the rails and just deciding that whatever he does is right and legal, and that's it. It's not even a discussion at this point. Yeah, the only answer I can give you is Comer said it's because the Clinton Foundation. There's no real reason to interview her. There are a lot of people. If James Comer is really interested in getting to the bottom of the Epstein situation, then he should be spending his time trying to interview people that were involved in the Epstein situation and not trying to play political games by interviewing Hillary Clinton. The reason he's interviewing Hillary Clinton is because she is Hillary Clinton, because it's a headline grabber, and because, you know, he can try to make it look like Democrats are trying to defend her or something like that, as though she needs defending because she didn't do anything wrong. But I'm on the vertical and the horizontal on YouTube. You're talking about? Yeah, I'm on 2 different streams. Is that what you mean? I'm also on, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Twitch, and I'm on Facebook. Okay, disliked. Okay. Sorry. I'm not here to appease you. So let's first talk about this whole thing with Medicaid. In case you haven't heard, J.D. Vance announced yesterday that they're just going to freeze $256 million in Medicaid spending to Minnesota. All right, because of this whole fraud situation. So let's really break this down. First of all, the people that are being punished didn't do anything wrong. A lot of the people that are being punished even voted for Trump. Some people were like mocking. Somebody said that Minnesota is like almost like 2 states. Like the rural part is like a red state, and the blue parts are like a blue state, or the urban parts are like a blue state. That's actually true, and it's about 50-50. It's that's why you end up with weird things like Jesse Ventura ending up being the governor. There is enough, like in the farm communities and stuff like that, which you know, I lived there for 6-7 years, so I can attest that there are a lot of, you know, deep red MAGA types in the state of Minnesota. But those are in the rural communities that are going to be affected by these Medicaid freezes. So like there's different types of people that are being affected by it, none of which have anything to do with any of the fraud that is going on. There's the people that receive Medicaid, right? That's number one. What are they going to do for their health insurance now? They're already on Medicaid because of financial constraints. Why are they being punished? They didn't do anything wrong. And a lot of those people are in rural communities in Minnesota. The second group of people that is going to be punished for this are the hospitals. Because technically, if you're on Medicaid, you don't get like Medicaid dollars. You don't get a Medicaid check. It's not like you get a monthly check to pay for your health care, and now you're losing that. No, the government pays for your health care when you need to go to the hospital. And who do they pay? They don't pay you. They pay the hospital. So now the hospital isn't going to get paid. So that means the hospital is going to suffer financially, which means a lot of these rural hospitals that are already getting hit by other cuts are going to start going under. And when that happens, all the people that have actual insurance that they pay for and work hard for, that voted for Trump, all of them are also going to lose their insurance. Or they're going to lose their hospital, I mean. It's not like the hospital just closes to the people that are on Medicaid. The hospital closes. And then everybody is SOL. So you've got people that are in rural Minnesota that all of a sudden their local hospital is going to have to close down because Donald Trump decided that he was going to punish this entire state of Minnesota over mostly fabricated and exaggerated fraud charges. And I say fabricated and exaggerated very deliberately because some of them are fabricated and some of them are exaggerated. All right. What we do know is that there were Nick Shirley's videos, the ones that supposedly went and exposed all of this fraud in all of these child care centers. That was totally bogus. That's been completely debunked. I've talked about it on the show before. The feds checked it out. They couldn't come up with anything. The state checked it out. They couldn't come up with anything. And the media, the local media checked it out and couldn't come up with anything. All those places actually exist. They wouldn't let him in because he was a weirdo and there were children in there. If you send your kids to get daycare, you don't want weirdos walking around with cameras being let into the building to film your children. It's like normal to lock up daycare centers, especially in this day and age where you have mass shootings on a daily basis or near daily basis. So he was just like, his entire premise was wrong. He didn't do any research. He's not a journalist. He's a shock YouTuber that does practical jokes. Then decided he was a journalist. He's not a journalist. He doesn't have any training. He doesn't know what it takes to be a journalist. He's a sensationalist. And then because people like Elon Musk and J.D. Vance, who just jumped on the racist tropes, had to go and retweet him. It got all popular. And then all of this crap that's happened in Minnesota ever since then is because of his lies. All the freezes, all of the ICE murdering American citizens, and all of that crap is because of Nick Shirley. It all ties back to those stupid videos that were debunked. And as much time as the media spent on spewing about them, they never spent half the time on pointing out that they were debunked. You know how many people were indicted as a result of Nick Shirley's videos? 0. None, not one person. All of the people that were indicted were already convicted for different frauds before Trump was even president. But now Donald Trump is sitting there talking about how Somali pirates and blah, blah, blah in the State of the Union. And then the next day, Medicaid funding. And by the way, Medicaid funding has nothing to do with any of the frauds. You know who does have Medicaid funding issues? The state of Texas, with like over $4 billion in fraud. You know who is not freezing funding to? Texas. But Minnesota and Texas are different sized states, let's be fair. If you check Minnesota for its fraud rate in Medicaid and in improper payments, Minnesota's rate is 2.2%. The national average is 6.1%. And when we talk about improper payment rates, understand this is mostly provider scams. It's not user scams. The people that are manipulating it are like physicians or pretend physicians. They're not people that actually need health care. But Minnesota is actually pretty well run, well above average, nearly 1/3 the average. So there's this 259.5 million freeze. Oh, and by the way, this whole like Donald Trump was talking about, they've had 19 billion in fraud over the last several years. There hasn't even been that much. There's only been 18 billion. What happened is one prosecutor said in one press conference that he thought that it could be over half of the 18 billion. But what's actually been proven in court, what's actually been shown in court, is like 235 million. It's not even 1 billion. This 9 billion number that conservatives keep throwing around, it's not, there's no math behind it. It is an arbitrary number made by one person in the middle of a press conference. It's not an actual number. It's a made-up number. Stop using made-up numbers to prove your point. If you need to make things up to prove your point is made up. So now there's 259.5 million freeze that affects 1.2 million Minnesotans that have autism care, nursing homes, disabled transportation, all of that stuff. And not one of them has anything at all to do with any of the fraudsters that have been convicted. Not even most of the, only 0.7% of the Somalis in Minnesota had anything to do with it. It's all just race baited hatred. So why is Texas different? So of that 250 maybe million, only 25.7 million in fraud has actually been charged. Like in terms of actual court cases, prosecution, proven, it's 25.7 million. So let's back off that bogus 9 billion number, shall we? Then, so we send, because this is just how insane it is. So there were some Somalis involved, but they were Somalis, they were citizens of the United States. Most of them natural born citizens of the United States. Why is it if a Somali is born here and then commits a crime, then it's like, oh, he hates his kind, why does he hate America so much? But like an American, a white person born here commits 34 felonies and you make him the president. Why doesn't Donald Trump hate America if committing a crime means you hate America? So they went from this fraud, and then it was like there were some Somalis involved. And since there were Somalis involved, then that means they must have been here illegally because they had, they were of Somali descent. And then because they had Somali descent, that means all illegals are somehow bad, evil fraudster people. And he tried to even extend it beyond the state of Minnesota and just make it about all the illegals all over the country are sitting there frauding. You know who's been convicted of fraud? Donald Trump. More fraud than 25.7 million, in fact. Meanwhile, in Texas, there was a case, I guess it got cracked about a few weeks ago. There's $4 billion in fraud in 1 year. There's about 2.2 million undocumented migrants. Do we have ICE running amok in Texas? No. And you're like, oh, well, they don't have sanctuary states and cities and blah, 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 and they turn over their prisoners. Well, so does Minnesota. There's not a single case in Minnesota, in a Minnesota state prison or a Minneapolis prison, where they refuse to hand over a inmate, an undocumented migrant to ICE. It's never happened. That's all just stop watching Fox News, please. All you get on that channel is disinformation. Look up the facts. So anyway, Texas has a lot more fraud going on and a whole lot more illegal immigrants and a whole lot less of ICE running around murdering people. They've only murdered one citizen in Texas. They murdered 2 in Minnesota. Why? Because Greg Abbott is governor, because it's a red state. Why isn't he freezing Medicaid in Texas? Could it be because Minnesota is Democratic-led and Texas is Republican? This is not in fraud enforcement. It's political weaponization, period. All right, so let's go back. We're going to look through. Along with your explanation, can you give us your thoughts about what you would do? The only thing that I can think of is sue. This is brazenly illegal, because it's not so much about the state as it, or the politics of it. It is about the fact that people in the state of Minnesota pay federal taxes. And you can't just take their taxes and then not provide the services that those taxes pay for. That's like saying, I mean, I hate to borrow the phrase, but no taxation without representation. Like that's the heart of what founded America. Like that's, you know, pretty not just unconstitutional, but entirely un-American. The guy that the guy did not expose Minnesota. That's what I'm not saying that the guy that exposed Minnesota is basically wrong about everything. I'm saying that the guy that everybody thinks exposed Minnesota did not actually expose anything. There was no fraud there. All of the things he said were untrue. It's not just that he's wrong, it's that he lied. There was nothing to expose. All of those healthcare, all of those child care centers, all those daycare centers were actual daycare centers that were honestly run. There was no fraud there. You can't expose something. It's like that's legal. How do you expose something that's legal? The word exposed even still latches onto this idea that somehow they were doing something wrong and got caught. He absolutely is. And there's fact checks you can look up on it. But basically they went through and they I'll tell you 3 things. Okay, first of all, the probably the strongest evidence that you might accept is the fact that they sent Pam Bondi sent all these investigators to go and get to the bottom of it, and you have not had a single person indicted. Right? That's number 1. Because you know, if there were indictments out of it, Pam Bondi would be making would definitely be, she would announce a live primetime press conference about it. And there would be heralds blowing trumpets and all kinds of stuff. But you haven't heard anything about it because there hasn't been anything to hear about. Number 2, there were of all of the daycare centers were actually open when he went there, except for one. They just wouldn't let him in because that is normal. And even there's one video footage where another reporter is calling him out on that. Don't you know that that's normal? And then he like tries to hedge around it. But yeah, he's definitely wrong. He was lazy. He doesn't know what reporting is. He doesn't know how to fact check. Smells like a mishandled that, Minnesota. I don't know what they mishandled or how it's Minnesota's fault. Yeah, I'm mad. Wouldn't you be mad? An entire state is getting their Medicaid stripped over fabrications. Of course I'm mad. Most people don't believe that Donald Trump was railroaded. Most Republicans believe Donald Trump was railroaded. Most people believe he was convicted of a crime. Renee Good was a registered professional agitator. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Neither one of them was, we're not going to go into that. They wouldn't have been there if Donald Trump had not sent ICE there to get all, to get behind all this Nick Shirley nonsense. It's just, MAGAs try so hard to defend every evil thing that Donald Trump does. MAGA would be mad if they knew how to read. They would be. Personal is a bot. Seen you on another live. Oh, is personal a bot? All right. Well. Yeah, in that case. I don't have Resistance Kitty here today, so I have to do the boycotting myself. Oh, he was just on another person's live spewing the same poop. So Battle BR thinks I'm clip that. Said the same thing word for word. Oh, he's one of those pasters. They just paste the same comment in over and over ago. The fraud is out of control and you condone it. What fraud is out of control? Seriously, dude. If they, okay, what has been prosecuted has been prosecuted. Number one. That before Trump was president, it was all prosecuted, all adjudicated, all convicted. So what is this doing? There is no new fraud that has not been prosecuted. So how is it out of control? Why isn't Texas, where there is new fraud, why isn't that being punished? And that's number one. Number two, why are you punishing people that didn't do anything wrong? Again, there are three types of people. One, people that receive Medicaid, they are being punished. Number two, the hospitals that get paid the Medicaid for providing care for the people that receive Medicaid. And number three, the people who live in the same communities that those hospitals are going to be shut down in. Why do all of those people deserve to lose health care over made-up charges by a 23-year-old YouTuber who was wrong about everything he said? That's what's out of control. Donald Trump is out of control. There has never been in the history of our country a state denied a single federal service for any reason. That's just never happened. It's completely unconstitutional. No, the people, okay, are you dumb? I'm sorry. Don't mean to be name calling here. But the people who didn't do anything wrong are getting punished. Who do you think gets punished when they freeze the Medicaid? Do you think it's the Somali people in prison? All right, what did you just jump in here a couple of seconds ago? The whole thing was wrong. I just went through it. The whole thing about Nick Shirley and the child care centers and all of that was wrong. All of that was bogus. All of that has been debunked. It's been debunked by the by the local media. It's been debunked by the state investigations, and it's been debunked by the federal investigations. It is thoroughly and completely debunked. Not one person has been indicted over these fraud charges that Nick Shirley said happened. Not one person has been charged. Yet they're freezing all the Medicaid for the entire state. Why is that fair to you? I hope you're right. I want Crockett and Tallarico to be the two senators from Texas someday. And then we can like call them Crockett and Rico. If you get it, you get it. Dude, if you would fight for Americans as hard as you fight for Trump, we would have a better world. You're the one fighting for an illegal. Donald Trump is an illegal. Donald Trump's the one who committed crimes. You're fighting for an illegal. It is true. I hope your kid gets his mom's brains. She's cute, by the way, or her mom's brains. I think it's her. If you watch Fox as your primary news source, you're definitely getting lied to. They just charged that Somali woman. That had nothing to do with Nick Shirley's charges. That has nothing to. That was the thing that was already under investigation, dude. You need to learn to read. Read, buddy. Don't just watch the Fox News and think that everything that they're telling you is right. And you're saying an entire state should lose its Medicaid because of something one woman did because she's Somali? Come on, dude. Grow up. Be an adult. All right, so now the next thing. Let's talk about Iran. We're talking about how Trump's authoritarian tendencies are escalating. So right now, Mr. No New Wars president has 2 aircraft carriers out in Iran, over 12 warships. They've been out there for a couple of weeks. For what? Why are we threatening war with Iran? What is the danger to Iran? Or a danger from Iran? Trump says they're rebuilding nuclear weapons. So let's talk about this whole thing. Let's talk about this honestly. Even at their best, they had 60% enriched uranium, which is not anywhere near enough to be weapons grade. Yeah. And it's not like 60% means you're 60% of the way to 80% or whatever it is. Each time it gets harder and harder to refine it more. So they were like years away from even back before we bombed the crap out of them. They were years away from having weapons grade uranium. That's number one. Number two, they didn't have any kind of delivery device for it. So even if they did have enriched uranium and they didn't have a delivery device. So they've got both of those. So this is like if somebody were walking around with blank bullets in their pocket, and they didn't even have a gun, but they had some blank bullets, and then you were to shoot them in self-defense because maybe they could get some more gunpowder in those bullets, and then maybe they could get a gun, and then they would be a threat. But they're not a threat until then. Unless they're a threat right now, you can't kill them in self-defense, and it's the same thing with the War Powers Act and with you can't just go and bomb people because you think that someday they might be a threat. Wickoff is saying they're a week away from a bomb, which is just crap. Nobody believes that's true. Remember, this is a man that we know for a fact had invasion plans for Iran drawn up in his first term. He wants to invade Iran. That's why he has wanted this ever since Barack Obama actually made a nuclear arms agreement with Iran to keep them from getting nuclear weapons. There was all the stuff that Trump is saying it's impossible to get now. He canceled. Donald Trump is the reason that we don't have an agreement with Iran right now. And now he's like pushing for war. And this is an unconstitutional war. And I'm not going to say he's the first one. If you watch my show more than, if you're a regular, I have consistently been on this. I think both sides, including Obama, including even to a lesser degree, but still with Bill Clinton, the only president that has not, Biden didn't really do anything, but every president since basically Kennedy, even before that, Eisenhower, has gradually expanded the executive power when it comes to wars. And the War Powers Act was meant to rein that in, and now it's being used the opposite of what it was intended. It was meant to be like, if you have to, if there is something that you feel is so urgent that it has to, you have to use it, you have to come and you have to tell us within 48 hours why that was. It wasn't, as long as you come to us within 48 hours, go ahead and do whatever you want. Donald Trump thinks everything is an emergency. He just calls everything an emergency. The War Powers Act was written if there is an actual emergency. Right now, there's no emergency. Iran is not any kind of a threat to us or to Israel or to anyone else. The only threat to stability in that region is Donald Trump and maybe Israel. All right, so probably got some conservatives, right? So stop blocking ICE while we're not. Here's a simple answer: stop blocking ICE while you're giving illegals. So yeah, all of this is made up stuff. Nothing you said is true. He was convicted of crimes. No testosterone on this channel. Okay, good. Let's make a better world, whatever that means. One women. Okay, whatever. Because they hate Western society. Yes, they are telling the truth. We have an honest world, whatever. I wish you could watch, read all the, I don't just read left-leaning, but I really wish you could, like change the channel. Did he bomb them? Yes. You just worry about stuff that hasn't happened. He literally bombed them, dude. He bombed Iran like months ago. Were you not paying attention? They weren't lying to us, and you don't know how to spell lie. Because we disagree sometimes, it doesn't mean that I'm a Trump lover. I don't think you are. Iran has always been obstinate. Don't you have a clue of history? Yes. I think that Donald Trump is obstinate. Like, what is your assessment of Iran being obstinate have anything to do with anything? Can you just go and bomb countries because you think they're obstinate? It doesn't matter if they're obstinate. What matters is if they are an immediate threat. And they are not an immediate threat. I bet you agree with Obama sending millions of dollars of cash to them. Obama didn't send them millions of dollars of cash, which is something you would know if you didn't just get all your information from Fox News. Obama did not send them millions of dollars of cash. What Obama did is return to them some of their own money. No, on the vertical, for some reason, it splits the vertical feed and the horizontal feed. You must be in the horizontal feed. All these other comments are on the vertical feed. So right now I've got 23 people on the vertical feed. No, we don't have somebody fighting for people. And I noticed, hey, JD, can you do me a favor? Can you respond to the thing I'm actually talking about instead of just knee-jerk Tourette style blathering about random defenses of Donald Trump? Do you think that Iran is a threat? Do you think that if we don't go to war with Iran, Iran is going to nuke somebody? Yes or no? All right. He bombed a factory. Wow. Okay. Then why did he say that he obliterated their nuclear stuff? Like, okay, was he lying? When what was Levitt lying when she said that the 225 bombings obliterated their nuclear facilities? And now he bombed a factory. Like, was he lying then or is he lying now? Which he's saying two different things. Which time did he lie? Did he lie now or did he lie then? Clinton sent. No, he didn't. How do you see our future in the next 2 to 3 years to our? I think we're headed for a massive recession. I think that the combination of massive deportations, I think that, and his tariffs and the Authoritarian cuts to the federal budget, all of those things, it's just going to make the K-shaped economy even worse and worse. It's going to make the number of people that are rich grow smaller and smaller, and the number of people that are poor grow larger and larger. I think we're screwed. That's my honest assessment. Yeah, I know what you mean under Trump. All right, so number one, he's freezing Medicaid to a bunch of innocent people for no reason at all, except that it plays to people's racist inclinations about Somalis. That the people that are suffering are not Somali. A lot of them even voted for Trump, probably over half. Supreme Court now, and so then he's doing this Supreme Court defiance in real time on the tariffs. So the Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that tariffs were illegal, and the court spent months ruling this. They were very clear that the Constitution gives this power to the Congress, not to the president. This is not even a debatable thing. It's a direct quote from the Constitution. It shouldn't have even taken any time. And so he's just like, I'm going to find another way. And I would just like to point out to the irony that the case he was trying to present didn't even talk, like the thing, his legal defense on the tariffs thing didn't even talk about tariffs. And when Joe Biden got student loans struck down and he tried to find another way, it was a feces slinging contest on Fox News about how he wouldn't just accept the Supreme Court's ruling, how he had to just, how he should take this, and, you know, all of this kind of stuff. And it doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to get in a debate about the student loan things. I'm just saying, if you were upset about Joe Biden trying to find a different way on the student loans after the Supreme Court said it was unconstitutional, then why aren't you, in principle, seeing Donald Trump as doing the same thing? Is it that your principles changed to meet Trump? Could that be it? That you really don't have principles? That it's really more about you're the one being partisan here? Have you thought about that? Is Donald Trump subject to the Constitution or not? I don't recall Joe Biden saying that the decision was a disgrace. I don't recall him calling out the Supreme Court in the State of the Union or insulting them, or all the just nasty things that Donald Trump says about the Supreme Court, including the ones that he appointed. At least two of the ones he appointed. So he's trying this Section 122. They expire in 150 days unless Congress extends, which is unlikely. When he talked about we can do this without Congress, Mike Smugface Johnson was up there just clapping away, making himself out to be some kind of hero or something. Just the smuggest face, man. My slap muscles twitch when I see Mike Johnson. But yeah, just fully deferring the power of Congress to the president. This isn't even a close, like there are a lot of legal experts that will say that the Supreme Court got the ruling on Biden wrong, on the student loan forgiveness wrong. There is no one that thinks that they got other than the three amigos that voted against it. Even like Scalise. This is how ironic it is. There was Scalise's argument in overturning the student loan thing was that it was he invented this major question doctrine. Like, this thing was so big, the student loans was going to cost the country so much money that it was a major question, and a major question like that should only be resolved by Congress. That was his reasoning, and that he wrote the majority opinion. But now, literally putting a tax on the entire world, and or on a tariff on the entire world, taxing the American people billions and billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, and then in spite of the fact that this is something that the Constitution unambiguously gives to the Congress, not the president. And I want to point this out. The whole taxation without representation thing and all of that, the taxation that they had, that they didn't like, that there was no representation for, and all of that kind of stuff, the reason they were throwing the tea off the boat in the Boston Tea Party, all of that, the tax was tariffs. The entire revolution was fought over tariffs being assigned by one person. So when they made when they wrote the Constitution, and they said, tariffs are by Congress, that was very, very, very intentional. They did not think one person should be deciding what the tariff rates were for any country, much less the entire world. And then you've got Donald Trump sitting there slapping a 39% tariff on Switzerland because he didn't like the tone of voice the president of Switzerland talked to him with. Like, that somehow constituted a national emergency. That is, come on. Even if you're MAGA, you got to admit that's a little bit much. And it's not Switzerland that pays the price for that. It's you. Would you explain to me how they work, tariffs? Okay, so let's say that Bob runs an import-export company, and he wants to order widgets, and his widgets are $100 a piece. And then Donald Trump puts a 15% tariff on widgets. So then when those widgets come into the country and they're at the port, then Bob has to pay, can't remember the name of the agency, but a federal agency that I think it's part of Homeland Security or something. He has to actually, might be the Commerce Department. Anyway, he has to pay, if he ordered 1,000 of them at $100 a piece, then that would be $100,000. So he'd have to go and he'd have to pay $15,000 to this federal agency before those widgets get released for him to be able to sell or use in his manufacturing or whatever. The person that pays, that actually pays the tariff, is the person that imports them, or the business that imports them. What they do with that afterwards, they can either, one, they can just eat that 15% and lose the profit. That's number one. They can say, well, they can ask the seller from the exporter to cut the price of it so that the 15% they pay is offset by that. But that rarely happens, because why should another country lose money because of Donald Trump? And then, by the way, that's a company, not a country. If we import widgets from the widget factory in Germany, that does not mean that Germany pays the tariff. That means if the widget factory in Germany agrees to charge less for them, they're losing that profit. Not Germany, the widget factory. So then, but they don't do that anyway. There, one time in the 80s, the Japanese auto exporters, they actually ate the profit so that they could kind of still take over the US market when Reagan tried to boost the tariffs up on the Japanese auto industry. So I don't know, does that answer your question? So then he can, the guy that imports it, he could, if he's selling them outright, he can add it onto the price. If he's selling it to, somebody that's going to make, uses widgets in their manufacturing, they can add it onto their price. Eventually, some percentage of that gets passed on to the consumer. And that is called a pass-through rate. And the pass-through rate on Trump's tariffs were around 90%, according to various studies from independent agencies like Wharton. If you believe Trump wants us to suffer from them, you're crazy. Why would he want? Because he doesn't, on the tariff thing, he's just too dumb to understand how they work. He honestly does not understand how they work. He thinks other countries pay them. He keeps arguing that they don't. That is not like an actual debate, like how they work. That's a factual debate that has worked. That it's that way through that. That's what a tariff is. It's like arguing how many angles are in a circle. Okay, first of all, that is sort of nonsensical. Okay, so first of all, exporting and importing are not the same thing. One of the things is we have the largest economy in the world. All right. And since we have the largest economy in the world, we tend to be the largest consumers in the world. We buy more things. All right. We have more. We don't have the most people, but we have a lot of people. And so we just tend to buy more things. Like Madagascar doesn't have that many people. Madagascar is not going to necessarily buy as many things as they sell because they're not that big of an economy. And what is fair is also relative. Like what the free market is supposed to be what's fair, right? That's what conservatives think. And number two, and the next, we had trade agreements that Donald Trump himself designed. The trade agreement with Canada was his trade deal. He called it the greatest trade deal in the history of the world when he signed it. The trade deal with Mexico, which was part of the same trade deal. The trade deal with Europe. All those trade deals that he was complaining about were trade deals he made. And then he literally even said, what kind of crazy person came up with these? So let's stop importing from anybody. But that doesn't make any sense. We aren't stupid. But here you are arguing about it. No. They're not. Germany lowers the price and companies buy it and sell it high. That's if Germany, like, first of all, Germany doesn't lower the price. The company in Germany lowers the price. That's number one. And number two, the company in Germany isn't lowering the price. That's not happening. That very, very rarely happens. Like I said, the only time that really happened was in the 80s with the Japanese auto industry. So Germany does not, I mean, like, he was only like insulting her. Germany does not. Yeah, they sell some. That, do you know who has just signed a big, huge trade agreement? Thank you, Winner. You know who just signed a big, huge trade agreement? China and Canada. If you think Trump is dumb, well, I don't think Trump is dumb. He's established he's a complete moron. And if you think he's not, then I seriously don't think that you're the brightest person in the room either. Hey, Skippy. Still 0 Epstein arrests in the USA. You would I didn't see it yesterday. I don't know what was going on. It was like a weird show yesterday. It was just like there weren't that many people here. I couldn't figure out why. And the comments were just non-existent. But we had a guy named Tony on that like really understands the whole
I can tell you what was going on.
Oh,
YouTube came out with an announcement that said that they had issues. It was happening to everybody who was doing shows yesterday. That it was on their end and it was a problem.
Okay. Well, I was going to say it certainly seems to have gotten better today.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday was just it was like, man, is it my deodorant?
Yeah, no, it's totally entirely about they had software issues.
So why do every other country doesn't put tariffs on us? Actually, like Europe didn't have any tariffs on, or very limited. Like you should probably actually learn these questions before you ask them. We actually have a higher tariff. Europe has a higher tariff on us now than they did before the trade war. And it doesn't, and this is the thing, like, let's say we're pointing guns at each other and we shoot each other. My shooting you does not mean you didn't shoot me. Like, we both get hurt. It's a mutually assured destruction type situation. Yes. Okay. Tariffs hurt the other country and tariffs hurt you, but they don't mean that the other country is paying. What tariffs do as damage is that they make prices go higher. And so then people import less of your product because they're not going to be able to sell it because it's more expensive. It's going to be harder to make a profit on it. So then what they do is that they hurt the consumers or the workers in that country. So let's say that we export widgets instead of import widgets, right? Well, we export widgets to Germany. Germany puts a 15% tariff on widgets, and so now we send them to Germany. They sell fewer widgets. Nobody, like, people don't want to pay that much for the widget. Since they're selling fewer widgets, that means they're buying fewer widgets. And if they're buying fewer widgets, that means we're producing fewer widgets. And if we're producing fewer widgets, that means the people that work in those widget factories lose their jobs. Does that follow? That's why I think it was 44,000 manufacturing jobs we lost. We actually went down in number of manufacturing jobs in 2025. We actually went down. We lost manufacturing jobs. Why is that? Reciprocal tariffs. And also Trump's tariffs. Tariffs can also hurt when you've got this kind of worldwide economy, because no business can figure out what wild hair is going to grow out of Trump's butt from one day to the next. And so he's just going to arbitrarily decide he's going to change the tariff. That makes it really hard to plan. So, and it also makes it so that no other countries want to invest. We lost money in foreign investments. Foreign investments went down. Manufacturing jobs went down. Tariffs raised the prices of goods. The average family spent about, is it $1,200 or $1,700? I can't remember which. But a lot more money on goods and services as a direct result of Trump's tariffs. Tariffs are hurting us. Like, just honestly, don't take my word for it. Don't take MSNBC's word for it. And don't take Fox's word for it. Go and read what Wharton says about it. Go and read what like an actual objective financial institution says about it. My brother has a PhD from Wharton. And he says there's no such thing as a good tariff. He hates tariffs. And then he spent about the next 2.5 hours explaining why. He knows more about tariffs than I do, that's for sure. 0 days since an accident. 10 years since a meaningful arrest. I'm on that boat, buddy. So I forgot to, yeah. So we had the guy on yesterday, Anthony, that had a lot to say about that. And one of the things that we were talking about, and we opened up this show talking about, is the Hillary Clinton, being grilled for whatever reason. And none of the people that were involved in the actual thing, none of them are being subpoenaed. None of them are being asked questions. They don't. And yeah, you're talking about they don't put the tariffs on us and stuff. Anyone going to really try to convince people that the USA can't be self-sufficient? We can't be self-sufficient. Not without noticing. We learned that in World War II. And we shouldn't be. We don't need to be. Why even try to be? Senators, oh, goodness gracious. Are you being serious right now? First of all, senator, she's not a senator, she's a representative. And secondly, what about when they were yelling at Joe Biden that he was a liar? What about when they were yelling at Barack Obama that he was a liar? Were you saying that then, or is that just because he was sitting there insulting, like he was throwing out this racist, nonsensical, anti-Somali stuff? Like, why didn't it offend you that he was being a racist in the middle of the State of the Union? Why didn't it offend you that he was calling the Democrats traitors during the State of the Union? When's the last time you saw a Democratic president do that? India and Europe. And Murray's just back from China too. I'm not calling anybody dumb. I'm saying that if you think that Donald Trump understands tariffs, then you must be as dumb as he does, because he clearly does not understand Trump. If you easily, he didn't exactly become a billionaire on his own. He got $600 million inherited, and because people like you vote for him in spite of whatever. You sat there and you insulted the intelligence of Joe Biden. Didn't Joe Biden become president? What do I need to be able to see the other YouTubers on here? I think you have to go to the vertical channel, but I don't know how to do that. Sorry. I don't know how to fix that. I don't. Who are you talking about? Not knowing anything about international trade? Are you talking about me? Because I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I know how tariffs work. I don't even want to get into words like establishment, as though he gets elected by people who think that's a good idea. I mean, what trade agreement? The trade agreements that he made? Who made the trade agreement with Mexico and Canada? I agree. It's the worst administration we've ever had. That table stands in China, India, Canada. My brother's been on a couple of times. He's running for Texas state legislature. He got to go vote for himself in the primary this time. But his main focus was is healthcare economics. He was the CEO of Bansi, which is like the largest military hospital. He's got some really intriguing thoughts on healthcare and how to fix the healthcare system. He's not totally into Medicare for all, but he is for universal healthcare. Okay, I believe in God. I want everybody to have a better life, and I want everything to be fair. When the middle class is doing good, the whole world is doing good. Well, yeah. So why are you voting for Trump? Trump does not believe in God. Trump does not want everyone to have better lives. Trump does not want anything to be fair. And Trump does not give a flying fornication about the middle class. The Democrats work for the system. Oh, look, more vague, arbitrary language. Nobody should be yelling during that time. Okay. But were you like, I mean, what about everything else, dude? Like, why are you all of this? Why is the thing you're fixing on something about one representative from Minnesota said during the State of the Union? Why is that the thing you need to fixate on right now? There's a lot bigger problems in the world than that. Stop holding people. I think, yeah, stop holding people to a higher standard than your president. Like, anything to avoid talking about the fact that Donald Trump is defying the Constitution, the Supreme Court, and 250 years of American history by deciding he gets to unilaterally decide what tariffs to put on the entire world, no matter how much damage it does to the American people. Oh, you know, Omar raised her voice in the State of the Union. There are no rigged elections. All right, JD, I'm sorry. You're just not a real person. Because that's not what you're talking about. Bye, JD. Yeah, how soon we forgot about what is. I think you missed my point here that when Biden did it, you complained about it. But like what Biden did was actually far more defensible. Like Joe Biden didn't directly contradict an actual clause in the Constitution. There was maybe the most singularly important clause in it based on why we fought the revolution in the first place. But you were all upset about him trying to replace the, like trying to overcome the student loan forgiveness. But now it's just like, well, Donald Trump's okay to do it. If you think it was wrong when Biden did it, why don't you think it's wrong when Trump does it? You're the one that forgot about Biden. I already brought up Biden. Yeah, I'm with the ones that didn't even show up. Okay. Tell me, Silver. Which representatives called Joe Biden a liar? Which representative called Obama a liar? If it bothered you, if it offended you, tell me who they were. Yeah. Good verse. These people honor me with their lips, but their works they deny me. Praying means nothing when the fruit says otherwise. JD is gone. He's just a troll. How is this any different when a Supreme Court struck down Biden's student loan forgiveness? So he used different laws to keep. Dude, were you? I don't know. Were you not here? That was the whole point. When Joe Biden did it, you guys just lost it. But now when Donald Trump does it, you're okay with it. So you ask me, how is it any different when Trump does it? My whole point in bringing this up is that when Biden did the same thing on a much lower level, what he did, the statute, like he went to a different statute to try and accomplish something close to what he did. It wasn't even the same thing. Number two, what he did was actually lawful. Number three, and this is the really, really important part, there wasn't a clause in the Constitution directly preventing him from being able to do it. Not just the law, the actual Constitution. The actual Constitution says Congress has to do this. And when Scalia wrote the opinion piece on this, he said that there is he called it the major question doctrine. When it comes to a major question like this, then it has to go through Congress. But Scalia reversed course when it came to Trump doing it. He went against his own doctrine. The doctrine he established, he violated. So how is it different when Trump did it? That's the question. Not how is it different when Biden did it. You lost your nonsense. You lost your senses over Biden doing it. That's why you're bringing it up now. How is it different when Donald Trump does it? You tell me how it's different. You're the one defending Trump. Oh, all right. Sorry. Both seem wrong. Should have read your next comment first. You don't understand the difference between 1 million and 1 billion, do you? There is zero difference. Get it? Actually, 3 zeros. You don't understand the difference between 1 million and 1 billion. To put it in perspective, 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years. I don't understand where that comment comes from. Yes, 1 billion is a much bigger number than 1 million. 1 billion is 1,000 millions. What is student? What's to? Yeah, like everything with them is whataboutism. Like I try and stay, logically and morally consistent. But most of the time when I see people doing these whataboutisms, they're an excuse. And it's like every time you've got a whataboutism, I just want you to remember that there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. When you're saying a whataboutism, you're admitting you're wrong, but you're admitting the other side being wrong somehow vindicates you. Thank you. for expanding on it. I haven't read too much on into just have some articles on it the past few days. There's if you want to look at the look at my channel, I have an explainer video on the decision and how, because it's one of the things, it actually pisses me off a little bit. The media did not point this out more, that Alito, because maybe because the election, the decision was 6-3, and so they didn't go much into the minority opinion. But the fact that Alito actually went against his own doctrine, the doctrine that he used to strike down the student loans, I just found that incredibly ironic. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Do you think what do you think it's okay for Donald Trump to violate the Constitution or not? I'm not trying to vindicate anybody. I don't know what you're talking about there. I'm not necessarily talking. I don't know if I'm talking to you. There's more than I don't. But I just wonder. I mean, like, not everything is being addressed to you personally. There's more than one person I'm speaking to. Okay, so now this one is of all the if Biden did this things in the history of if Biden did this thing, this is the most if Biden did this thing of all. So in case you haven't heard, does anybody use Claude at all? If you use Claude, perk up, because you might not be able to use Claude anymore in the near future. Because this is insane to me. This is insane. So what's going on? If you haven't been paying attention, Anthropic is who owns, like they're the company behind Claude. And the Claude is actually, the DoD uses Claude the most. And Claude has safeguards on it that prevent the DoD from being able to use Claude to spy on American citizens. And if they don't remove those safeguards, tomorrow by 5 p.m. Eastern, they lose their contract. So they're actually blackmailing Anthropic into taking away safety regulations from Claude that prevents them from being able to spy on American citizens. So why do that if they're not planning on spying on American citizens? And Anthropic has a red line: no use of AI for autonomous weapons. That's one red line. And their second one is no mass domestic surveillance of Americans using AI. So they will not let their AI, they don't want Claude to be used to spy on American citizens. And they're being told, if you don't do it, we're going to drop our $200 million contract. And $200 million is a lot to these AI companies, right? Like that's enough to kill them. So they're either going to yank the contract. That's one threat. Because Claude won't spy on American citizens, right? Out of safety concerns. Or, and this is the real irony, they're going to use the national emergency laws, the same one that Biden used to build up the vaccines, to force corporate compliance. The Defense Production Act was designed for wartime manufacturing shortages. But they're going to use that to invoke Anthropic, to force Anthropic to let the DoD continue to use Claude and usurp its safety procedures. And they're saying their excuse for doing this is safety. Like, on the one hand, the way they're going to blackmail Anthropic and do this thing is to say that they're not safe enough. But then if they do decide to invoke the Defense Production Act, it's the only way we can be safe. So they're opposite. Either Anthropic is not safe enough, or we're not safe without Anthropic. That's what the DoD is saying. One way or another, we're either gonna destroy your business, or we're gonna take it over. And I guess, as far as I'm concerned, like, I think about communism and how we're always being told that the Democrats, they're a bunch of communists. Communism is taking over the means of production, right? This is literal communism. Literal communism. And if Joe Biden did this, if a Democrat in the White House did this, there would be insanity. It would be a feces tossing contest on Fox and Friends, as everybody just had a voice raising competition to see who could yell the word communist the loudest. This is just an insane, ridiculous thing. All right. Educated. All right. The Dems have pushed all normal people out of the party. Y'all went after the kids. We didn't go after kids. We didn't open the borders. We didn't support illegal aliens over citizens. Johnny, have you ever read a book? How do you think the SLC ruling on tariffs will affect the trillions of dollars pledged? Oh, don't pay any attention to that. Okay, first of all, it's not even the trillions of dollars being pledged is not a real thing. First, like, Donald Trump, first of all, exaggerates that and saying it was $18 trillion or whatever. Like, that's not even the White House's pages. Sensationalized numbers. On the White House page, it says 4 trillion, which is actually still hyperbolic nonsense. Not a single dollar of those pledges has actually been invested. And if you pay attention, all of the money that has been pledged is none of it has any legal way to enforce it. And there's reasons for that. Like, if Donald Trump were to make a trade agreement and say, I pledge $5 trillion to go to Germany. Well, how's he going to enforce that? Is he going to come back and make American companies build factories in Germany? Like, it was a commitment to try or whatever. And all of those things take effect after Trump is out of office. So all they're doing is just telling him what he wants to hear to satiate him. None of that money matter. None of that is even remotely realistic. And Trump's embellishment of the made up numbers are even more embarrassing. Like, that's not a real thing. That's why I want to that's why I focus on the actual number, the actual figure for foreign dollars invested, the actual amount of money foreign countries invested in 2025 was down like 30% from 2024. We're getting less actual dollars invested in the United States from other countries. I hope they can seek asylum in Europe as a company if they resist. It is hilarious that this boomer is still choosing a side. Politicians are corrupt and paid for by Israel. Oh, all politicians. Okay. Just nod your head. Yes. We get it. The Jews are ruling the world and you're not anti-Semitic. Just nod your head and agree. Real companies have backed out of the USA before the ruling. Yeah. The ruling has no effect. The thing that's really going to be worth focus or paying attention to is what happens with the money that was collected. Does it go back to the companies? Does like the people that paid you would assume it has to go back to the people that paid the imports, right? So we import widgets and they paid all of this money for the widget imports, so they get reimbursed. They're the ones that actually paid the money. They're the ones with the literal receipt. Does it go back to the American taxpayer, though? The ones who had the price at the register raised? So anyway, does it just not go to anybody? Does the government just keep this money? That's why, like Brett Kavanaugh, who ironically, he said, well, we can't overturn it because then we open up this bag of worms, and how do we even figure that out? But he's the one that said, let's, we'll answer this tariff question later. He's the one that kicked the can down the road. Then when it came time to rule on it, he's like, oh, we can't do this because the can's been kicked down the road. Why not both? I think that Donald Trump has demonstrably shown he's an evil person. I can hate Trump and his corruption. Remember that Democrats, I've never said anything that Democrats have done everything right. Like this is an artificial construct that either you're against Trump or you're against the Democrats. Like, being against Trump does not mean I have to be for everything the Democrats are for. Like, that's you're like, if I criticize Trump, then you say, well, I'm not a MAGA, I'm not a Trump supporter. Okay. Have that both ways. Don't assume that just because I'm against Trump that I'm like in favor of everything the Democrats do. My viewpoints, my views are 100% policy based. They have nothing to do with the person that holds the policies. Putin called. He said, I await me. No one does anything right by the Democrats. Haven't you figured that out? I don't know what that means. I don't even know what that means. I'm sorry. What does it mean? Nobody does anything right by the Democrats. Deport Musk, deport Melania. With sides, doesn't matter, whatever that means, both sides. Deport everyone in Congress. Thank you. Putin called. He said he awaits all of your comrades. You know that Russia's not communist anymore, right? We don't allow anti-Semites to spew drivel in here. All right. I am praying for America. That's what I dwell on. Kelly, I'm just curious. Am I retirement age? Man, how old do you think I am? I'm 58 years old. It doesn't matter, dude. Do I look like I'm 70? I mean, at least I still have hair I can comb. It doesn't matter, dude. See, the problem is that the people want America to be great. We don't give a bleep. Whatever great means, though. What does great mean to you? It's just hollow, empty rhetoric that Donald Trump has told you, and you're just spewing the same stupid rhetoric. What does it mean to be great? I don't think being great means making poor people poor and rich people richer. Define great. You ever think about the word great? Like, the little caret in numbers, like you got the caret that goes to the right and the caret that goes to the left. And those are like the greater than and lesser than. So when the word great actually means more. It means bigger. It means larger. You say great big. You don't say great small. Right? Great means bigger. It means more. Donald Trump is petty. Donald Trump is lesser. He wants to make America less again. He doesn't want to make America great again. He wants to make America less successful. He wants America to have less rights. He wants to make America less again. I want to make America great again. But I don't think that the way to do that is to shout empty slogans and repeat them as though they're policy. Yeah, America being great relies on both sides feeling they were treated fair. I think even I agree with you, but America will be truly great when we're not talking about both sides anymore. Like we're just people. Russia is communist. You just slashed communist and fascist. Have you ever taken a political science class? My hope is that post-Trump, we will see splintering on the right. As of right now, everyone on the right is lumped together, but very drastically in beliefs. I think that actually I disagree. I think that there are, like even in this chat, right? You have Skippy, you have Silver Surfer, you have, I don't know if you're on the right, you have some hardcore MAGAs. So you have people that are on the right that do not identify as MAGA. I think that we have growing number of conservative people, and like conservatives are not MAGA. Like Joe Walsh, he is not a MAGA, but he is a conservative. I would say Donald Trump is not even a real conservative in most ways. Real conservatives don't put tariffs on the world. He's redefined what the Republican Party is. And in a lot of ways, you could say he's the real rhino. He just changed what the policy means. Just like Hitler. I mean, if you really want to, I'm not trying to compare Trump to Hitler, so don't get me wrong here. The Nazi Party was actually a socialist party, and Hitler took it over. And the Nazi, like with this fascist movement. And so he was not a socialist, trust me. Even the poem, the way it was originally written was, first they came for the socialists. The very first people he persecuted were socialists. He blamed the can't remember it, the bombing of that one building, Reichstag or whatever. He blamed that on the socialists. He persecuted socialists. He wasn't a socialist, but he was a Nazi. He changed what Nazi meant. The original Nazi party was a socialist party that he turned into a non-socialist party. Donald Trump took over a conservative party that was called the Republican Party. It's still called Republicans, but it's no longer a conservative party. And there are a lot of people that used to call themselves Republican that are conservatives, ranging from Michael Steele on MSNBC, who was the chairman of the RNC, to Joe Walsh, who was a representative, Republican representative. He was a Tea Party guy. Joe Scarborough. So, you know, they were all Republicans. What's her name? Even Nicole Wallace. Was it Nicole Wallace? I think it was Nicole Wallace who worked for the Bush campaign. So you got a lot of people that were conservatives that are now long, and maybe in some ways still are. I don't think Nicole Wallace is, but I think Michael Steele is largely conservative. I know Joe Walsh is. I know Joe Scarborough is. So anyway, I disagree with you on the thing. I think that there are people that feel like they have to agree with everything Trump says. So you have some conservatives that are just gradually leaving their principles behind to agree with Trump, and you have some people that are leaving the Republican Party behind because they disagree with Trump. Can't have two sides of justice system. I agree. What does Trump want to take away from us? Well, I won't go through the whole thing again, but I went through a few weeks ago and talked about 153 different examples of ways taking away our constitutional rights. And I didn't even get through that all. I don't think graph go up is the best way to measure success. Am I reading that? I'm sorry, Roller. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't think graph go up. It looks like some sort of text-to-speech thing that got messed up. Hey, Daddy Longbong. I hope you're not having any trouble getting your comments through today. Apparently, that was an issue all over YouTube yesterday. So anyway, nice to see your happy face there. I guess that's the long bong putting you in a good mood. I'm not on either side. I just want America. I think most of us want America to succeed. And one of the things that I really wish we could do more as a country is talk about policy and less about whether or not you agree with Trump. I think that the way we make America succeed is talk about what America is doing and not who is America aligning with. And that would go with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I know a lot of liberals that are very, very upset with the Democratic Party right now. But there are certain things, like I think we need immigration reform. I think we need healthcare reform. I think we need tax reform. I think we need to reconsider how we're budgeting our money. I do agree that the deficit is going up way too fast. I don't think that taking more money away from poor people and taking less from rich people solves that. I think I just don't see how anybody can think the problem is Elon Musk doesn't have enough money because that woman on welfare is hoarding it all. Exactly. The world the Democrats want is not one I want, my children and grandchildren. What world do the Democrats want? I find when people say things like this and they define what other people want, and I'm not talking about just this one thing. Whenever I hear people talk about what other people want, I always ask, would you define what other people want in a way that's in a way that they would agree that's what they want? What do you think Democrats want? Can you explain it to me in a way like if, let's say AOC, and AOC wants this, and then if you were to, can you tell me what AOC wants in a way that AOC would agree, yes, that's what I want? Or do you use what they want as an attack, as a smear, where you try and tell other people what somebody else's want as a straw man? Like, what do Democrats want? The reason Trump is president, the reason that Trump is president, I don't even need to read the rest of it. The reason that Trump is president is because worldwide inflation was rampant. And for years, all you heard about was how inflation was Biden's fault, even though that's not necessarily true. Because the Democratic candidate said, the Democrat did not say things like freedom of speech is a privilege, not a right. Nobody said that. Go into people's houses to check on nobody said that. But you know who is actually, ironically, saying that we can go into people's houses without warrants is the Trump administration. What do you think right now the whole mini shutdown thing is about? It's about the Fourth Amendment. Donald Trump is literally arguing that they can go into the house without warrants. Oh, these administrative warrants. Administrative warrants are like self-administered warrants. They're not real warrants. The Democrats are saying, no, you have to have a judicial warrant. When they wrote the Constitution, when they were talking about the Fourth Amendment, when they were talking about warrants there, they weren't talking about, well, you can just give yourself a warrant. The whole idea was to have a check. And now you're sitting there saying that Trump is president because this made-up argument that Democrats were arguing that they should be able to go into your house and take your guns away without permission. They're sitting there using the fact that they gunned down a man and put 10 bullets in him because he had a gun that he never even touched. And you're going to sit there and act like the Democrats are the ones that are going to use the fact you have guns to take away your rights? They took away his life. I have answered you yesterday that I saw your comment, but I think all of... Oh, sorry, Winter. Yeah, it was a weird one. It was a weird one. So it looks like we're back to normal today, though. I'm for America and my fellow Americans to do better. I agree. Do you think Trump ruined any chance for compromise? Okay. Let me. Can I rephrase that question? Do you think that there's any chance for compromise with Trump? Like, do you see Trump compromising? I mean, forget about like both sides will abandon their morals to see the party. I don't think it's about. Do you think that Donald Trump will and there's a difference between compromising and being compromised. Like if you abandon your morals, then you're just being compromised. It's not making a compromise. So which is it? Like, I don't think that the Fourth Amendment is something that should be negotiated. I'm proud to be an American, yay. And I'm strong in my beliefs. The Democrats want you to think that is a bad thing. Based on what? Is what? Do you have any facts, any substance? Was this on the Democratic Party platform? Everybody has opinions. I don't think every opinion is valid. I think that the opinions' validity depends on the substance behind them. Do people ever get tired of complaining about Trump? My 401k is doing better. Well, do you have a 401k then? I've talked about it before, the K-shaped economy. If you have a 401k, then good. But not everybody has a 401k. 60% of the country doesn't have any 401k. For most people, the economy is getting worse, not better. So do they have a say in things, or is it just the people that are in the top 20%? Things are not way cheaper than under the law. That's just an objectively wrong statement. The Democrats tried to run a scam with their... Oh, that's not true. I just choose to not spend all my time being hating an individual. Well, I don't think it's either don't hate Donald Trump or defend the entire system. That's a false dichotomy. I think there are people within the system who are not corrupt. I think that Donald Trump is a genuinely evil person. I think that there's a very, very big circle in that. It does not have to be one or the other. You liberals' whole argument against Trump is what you think he's going to do. Let's talk about... Yes, he's violated the Constitution over and over again. I don't think... You do not seem like an honest person to me. I do not think that you actually... I think that probably what has happened is you have heard people say things and you do not hear them. I think an opinion is more valid than... the better you are formed. Yes, I agree. I think... Here's a story for you. When I was in the 5th grade, I had this... my teacher, Mrs. Singer, who, by the way, she was pretty hot, to be honest. She was an attractive woman, and I had a crush on her. But one day she said, there's no such thing as a wrong opinion. And so I raised my hand. And I was like, yes, there is. And she's like, no, you can't say that. There's no such thing as a wrong opinion. I was like, well, I think there is, and that's my opinion. And kind of, she actually did this thing that my mom used to do where she would be about to get mad and then laugh at the same time. because she saw where I was going with that. But yeah, opinions are only as valid as the substance behind them. You must not understand that what I like, the podcast is not my entire life. And Donald Trump is not my entire worldview. I am responding to what Trump does because what Trump does is affecting the country. It's affecting the nation, the future. It has real world consequences, and I'm allowed to be upset about those things and mad about them. That does not mean they dominate my life or whatever. It just dominates my show. My show is not my life. And it's like, what's the other side on the Fourth Amendment? Like, am I supposed to give you? Well, it's okay to violate the Fourth Amendment if it's for people that don't deserve to be here. Unless you start dragging people out in a Minnesota winter in their underwear that are American citizens because you didn't have a warrant. That's not one-sided. That's just, there's a right and a wrong sometimes. And what Trump is doing is illegal, and it's also immoral. It's also evil. There's no other side to that. There's no good side to dragging out a 60-year-old man or 58-year-old man, whatever he was, in the middle of a Minnesota winter in his underwear. There's no reason he shouldn't have been able to at least put on clothes. That's just evil. There's no defending that. There's no right side of that. There's no other side of that. Of course, that's one-sided. What am I supposed to give you the balance on that? Give Trump enough money and he'll compromise anything. Do you? I feel like I'm getting behind in the comments again. No, not that far. 5 minutes ago. Trump will not compromise, and I'm afraid that he has instilled this into the future politicians. I'm not talking about amendments. More to see how to solve America. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the shutdown. What the shutdown is over is the Democrats just want Donald Trump to follow the Constitution. But that kind of answers the question, doesn't it? If he can't even compromise to follow the Constitution, what is he going to compromise on less? I think that we've seen some things happen in the special elections in 2025, like 30 point swings from 2024 election results. And so I think we're going to have a sort of a topographical shift in the entire election map in 2026. I don't think it's just going to be like a blue wave. I think it's going to be a blue earthquake. I think we're going to see seismic shifts in the political landscape. And I think that the MAGAs are an endangered species. And so the things that made MAGA will make them unelectable. All I know is we've had problems all through history and we get through it. I hope we do. This one is, I think what's unique about this is Trump is the first one that has gone this hard after the institution of government itself. And it's not just the damage he's done directly. There's the indirect damage of the people that are lost. There's the expertise. There's the human element of people that are just not working there anymore. I think he's done structural damage to the United States government that's going to be hard to recover from. So yeah, amen. That's why Trump repeats things over and over, because the people who have weak minds will believe him. Hey, how you doing, Dusty? Cast iron kitty. We got another kitty. So we've got kitty. We got resistance kitty. We got rainbow kitty. Now we got cast iron kitty. That's why Trump repeats things over and over, because people have won't believe him. And now we got Dusty. Dusty's regular. Daddy Long, crazy seeing reports around here. Why are people still having this idiotic null and void conversation about these make-believe sides that they purposely set up to create division? Who purposely set them up to create the division? I mean, who is they? Who's the mastermind here? What are we really arguing about? Right now, we're talking about Anthropic, believe it or not, before we got sidetracked, and the Department of Defense trying to take over Anthropic. And I just I just find it ironic that they are literally talking about the state taking over a private company for not doing what that private company wants them to do, or what the private company not doing what they want them to do. And what they want to do is spy on the American people. All right, so get this. I feel like we've kind of glossed over the substance here. The Department of Defense, get this, the Department of Defense wants to spy on you, and Anthropic is saying no. And so the Department of Defense is saying, okay, if you don't do this, we're either A, we're going to declare you completely unsafe because you won't spy on American citizens, or B, we're just going to take over your company and spy on American citizens anyway. Now, just imagine if that were Joe Biden. People were like, oh, what about Joe Biden? What if Joe Biden did that? They would be throwing feces on Fox News like monkeys in a cage. It would be insane if that happened. Can you just really imagine the response? That's what is going on. The DoD wants to take over an AI to spy on American citizens. And not a peep from a single Republican about it. Why not? Okay. State legislatures have more effect on my life. Kentucky is now in my F list. What did Kentucky do? Other than give us such heroes as Rand Paul and Mitch McConnell. My Democrat American friend is a proud American, angry and sad, but hopeful that Americans will be able to fight Trump's attack against his country. Now, you don't have to be for everything the Democrats do to be against Donald Trump, or to recognize that right now the best way of defeating Donald Trump is the Democrats. They passed a law recently that invalidated a bunch of regular citizens' licenses immediately, like driver's license for voting, or okay, what is this about? Almost. Did I just go sideways there? My laptop fell over. Okay, let me check this out. Just seeing what Claude, ironically, Claude is my preferred AI. Do you guys have preferred AIs? Do you have a relationship with your AI? So it says, I'll just read it to you. The Kentucky Senate recently passed Senate Bill 154, which tightens voter identification requirements by removing Social Security cards and public benefit cards as secondary forms of ID that voters can use at the polls, along with signing an affidavit affirming their identity. The bill passed the Senate 31-7. This is noteworthy because 1,000 people voted with Social Security cards in the last election, and some lawmakers argued that change would make voting harder for vulnerable populations without any actual voter fraud problems. That's the deal. The whole idea is not to keep illegal citizens from voting. It's to keep citizens from voting. Well, I mean, on the show, I'm actually a pretty happy person most of the time. The people in this administration are either stupid or evil. Why not both? Just so you know, Silver, most of I spent a lot of time cooking and baking, and I actually really, really enjoy a lot of other things. I enjoy TV. Who is they? I quit working government cyber because AI weaponization is imminent. Embodied AI will be catastrophic. TDS, gonna TDS. Yeah. I have a right, and you have a right to believe what I believe. Nobody's saying you don't. And I have a right to say what I want to say. Nobody's saying you don't. And you have a right to kick me out if you don't like me. I do, but I don't dislike you. I don't know where you're getting anything adversarial out of this. This isn't a liberal channel. It's a constitutional channel. I mean, yeah. It's concerning how much Hegseth, you spelled Kegsbreath wrong, is trying to push AI into the field when he can't even tell the difference between a battalion and a drone. Not even warning the air. Oh, yeah. Or between a balloon and a drone, right? I was singing Octen 90 Luftballons. Get it? Because now there's only 98 left. I have a right. Trump hasn't changed. Trump is him. How do you feel about the attempts on Donald's life? I don't think murder. I'm against murder. I'm okay. Still chugging. Trying to not burn out before the next No King's Day. Everyone who is, I need to do something about. I got to get my I am not a terrorist shirts. I need to start trying to sell those again. They're pretty cool. I need to put them on my website. But yeah, saying I don't recall to something she did today is crazy. Oh, did she say she forgot something she did today? Of course, with Bo Bear, it's possibly true. She is not the brightest bulb in the box. Everyone knows Trump is a prince, not a king. Well, except for Trump. My prediction, they'll make a DoD model based on Claude. It'll be quite a fix. I'm like very, very concerned about that. They're already trying to do like face matching and stuff like that. Is it true Claude is like the smartest AI now? Oh, Kentucky is making it so trans people's driver's license won't match their birth certificate, so they won't be able to drive or vote. Oh my goodness. Or else they have to deny who they are. I was reading something since Trump, 400,000 trans people have moved to different states because the anti-trans laws. Well, I don't think anybody has ever come close to this. I mean, this is not like one of those things where you can say, well, this always happened, blah, blah, blah. It's just wrong. Nobody's ever tried to take over a company and forced it to spy on American people. Like that's something. If a Democrat did it, you wouldn't have people saying every new president, our privacy is eroded. We've all had. Well, I've had all of my bills today that I can take on, so this is good day. Everyone, take care. You too, Silver Server. Hope you have a good evening. You're so against Trump, but do you want to hire I don't want to hire the Democratic Party. I would rather have virtually anybody be president. There's not there, especially like, of all the Democratic frontrunners, any of them would make a better president than Donald Trump, because not any of them are going to just be taking away your Fourth Amendment rights. You act like that's like some sort of rhetorical question with the answer that you want. Yes, I would rather hire almost any Democrat to be president. I can't any Democrat, and a lot of Republicans. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of anybody I would rather have Trump president than. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, voter integrity is important. What is voter integrity? What does that mean? All right, so there's these two things, and I can't remember the name of it. Sorry, I can't think of the name of this scale, but there's these two different decisions. One of them was in Ohio, one of them was in Hawaii. And in Ohio, there was a case, Anderson. John Anderson wanted to be on the ballot, and Ohio had the deadline way too early. And so he missed the deadline, and he sued the state, and he won, saying that the voters would lose their right to vote for him if he wasn't on the ballot, and that it was an unreasonable thing to have the deadline that early. It was like in March or something. Remember, most of the ballots aren't even printed until after the primaries, which are in the summer. So this was like months ahead. So there was no reason to make that deadline. So, but he was an independent and blah, blah, blah. And so he sued and he won. And the Supreme Court, made this decision that you had to have, like the state had to prove there was something like in their interest to set these laws about election laws. Like you had to prove that there was some sort of infringement on the state, some sort of risk to the state, or some sort of, burden. That's the word I'm looking for, burden on the state. And then the other side of that, there was a guy in Hawaii. There was a law, they passed a law, you can't vote for a write-in candidate, or at least, they wouldn't count him, because nobody's ever going to win, and, on write-in candidates. Like no write-in candidate is ever going to win. There's not enough people are going to, write it. And so the state would then have to hire all these people to go through and keep track of all these different, hundreds of thousands or whatever write-in votes for different people. And he wanted to write in a candidate, and so he sued the state of Ohio, or state of Hawaii. And the Supreme Court said, in that case, the burden on the state was actually pretty great, because they had to hire all these people and do all these things. And the violation of this guy's right to vote for a vote that wouldn't count for anything was minimal. And so now there's this sliding scale. I can't remember the guy's name, started with a B. But anyway, there's this sliding scale of considering the voters' rights versus this, the burden on the state. And the more voters' rights, and the general idea is that the voters' rights matter more. But If the burden on the state is less than the violation of the rights to the voter, then the law should defend the voter before the state. And so when you talk about these things like the SAVE Act, the actual case of non-citizens voting are extremely rare. Extremely rare. At most, there's been at least, less than 100, maybe at most 200 in the last 40 or 50 years. Like the Heritage Foundation I think the Heritage Foundation built a database. It's either the Federalist Society or the Heritage Foundation. They're both way, way, way right-leaning think tanks. And they put together this database of every single case of voter fraud that they could find over the last 50 years. And they, from dead people voting to non-citizens voting or whatever. And even if you put all the different voter frauds types together, there's only been like 1,600 cases of voter fraud out of literally billions of votes that have been cast, because they didn't just count presidential elections. They counted presidential elections. They counted the primary elections. They counted people who illegally registered, whether they intended to or not. They counted people, city elections, like for mayor and city council, school board elections, state representatives, state senator, all the federal elections, not just president, senator, and all of those, every single election. If people went to their precinct to cast a ballot, they counted that ballot. Or if they mailed it in or whatever. Anyway, so billions of ballots, 1,600 cases of voter fraud altogether. So voter fraud, voter integrity is actually really, really, really sound. There is just not any issues with voter fraud of any kind. And nobody thought there was until Donald Trump started yelping about it and making up things about undocumented people coming in and Democrats inviting them in to vote for people and stuff like that. It's all made up. And so, like you got on the one hand, but people will say, well, you have people concerned about it. Well, they're concerned about it because of the lies. They're not concerned about it because the issue is valid. On the other side, you have with all of these things, like these 1,000 people that now their IDs aren't going to match their birth certificates, right? And this SAVE Act is going to say that your ID has to match your birth certificate. So now if your ID doesn't match your birth certificate, you can't vote. So you got thousands of people that aren't going to be able to vote. Not because they're not U.S. citizens, and not because they can't prove they're U.S. citizens, but because they don't meet these exact requirements that the law literally will not allow them to meet. So the issue here is not voter integrity. The issue here is the merit, the burden on the state. The state has zero burden here. It does not affect the state in any way if a transgender person is allowed to vote. Like that is the crux. You see what I'm saying? So I wish I could remember the guy's from Hawaii's name. He wanted to vote for Donald Duck or something. Weak men hate strong leaders. Yes. Donald Trump hated Barack Obama. It's okay to dislike Trump. It's okay to like Trump. I don't know if it's okay to like Trump. I disagree with that. I think if you like Trump, there are moral questions that you have to answer. Den, is that a name of somebody? I have no idea what that means. Either that or it's some sort of German word or something. Please don't use AI. They are easy to manipulate. They may people have their not only about the SAVE Act. Sorry, please don't use IA. Did you mean AI? Please don't use IA. These are so easy to manipulate. They made people have to match their birth certificates and validating licenses immediately this Thursday. Not that one about the SAVE Act. But it would seem like the SAVE Act would make them unable to vote unless they lie about their gender on their driver's license. And when I say lie about their gender, if forcing a transgender woman to say she is a man is forcing her to lie. Claude is ranked highest in coding and has been proven effective in an offensive cyber operations. I know it's the one that the Defense Department has used. They used it to conquer Venezuela. This will affect people who are intersex and not just too masculine or feminine looking. Not fun. I just do not understand, for the life of me, why the bleat gender is something that the law should care about anyway. I'm 100%. I'm not trying to whataboutism. It is about eroding our privacy. For the first time, they have the tools using AI to really destroy any privacy. And I think that there's something like going back to the what was that, the Homeland Security Act or whatever they call it, when they gave the federal government all this unprecedented freedom to spy, you know. And now it's just once you get that wedged in, it's easy to keep prying it open. In real life practice, Claude. Oh, Claude, you mean, okay. Claude, the AI Claude, CLAUDE. And all AI repeatedly fail at basic tasks due to having no actual idea what the world is. Ranking the highest of garbage pile is not much. I am horribly addicted to these bots. They are not intelligent. The algorithm has no use whatsoever. The data is easily manipulated with how loose the data sets are. I'm pretty, man, Dusty went on she's got a dissertation going. I'm not, is it she? I'm sorry correct me if I'm using the wrong pronouns. I'm not trusting a company to tell me what is real information from a hallucination black box. I don't even really use a Google. Going to DuckDuck and other platforms. I could physically taste it when I got fed AO3 from fan fiction. AO3. I don't know what AO3 fan fiction is. Therapy for TDS. It's clear. Denial is obvious. Biden was normal. Blah, 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 blah. If you don't understand your code, you can't fix it. Maybe I'm ignorant here, but the issue with the transgender ID not matching birth certificate because gender is on the ID. Could we simply change it to sex rather than gender to solve the issue? Why? What's the point? Like, why do we need the state to involve that? I mean, like, why can't the state just stay out of it? Patriot Act. Yes, thank you, Walter. And how you doing? Good to see you. All right, so let's go back into this deck and get to the end of it. Oh, whoops. Now that I'm caught up on the comments, I'm getting better at pacing myself on the comments to where I don't get too far behind, I hope. Accusation, fraud, security threat. So this is their playbook. First thing comes the accusation, right? Oh, Minnesota's doing fraud. You know, there's this security threat from Claude. Then it comes to federal weaponization. They withhold funds from Medicaid. They mobilize the military and send ICE, the pseudo military, and to like conquer your city. They invoke all these emergency powers to declare tariffs and unconstitutional tariffs at that, and the unconstitutional use the military against American citizens. But they do it selectively. Like, they're not sending ICE into red states where there are actual, like, large numbers of undocumented people. They're sending them into blue states where there's hardly any. There was only 13,000 undocumented people in the entire state of Minnesota. There were 3,000 ICE agents there. There were only 4 undocumented people for every ICE agent. Like, think about that. That's insane. Democratic states frozen, or was it 130,000? 40 to 1. I'm sorry. Democratic states frozen, Republican states ignored. The fraud. Why are they freezing funds for Minnesota and not for Texas when Texas has 20 times as much fraud as Minnesota? So first they make up an accusation, then they use the federal government against the people they made accusations for. Then they only selectively choose whether or not you will like Trump to decide whether or not to enforce their made up things. Then once their justifications collapse, once you show them, what you said about Minnesota fraud is not true. The improper payment rates, they're actually 1/3 of the national average when it comes to improper payment rates on Medicaid. Texas has $4 billion in Medicaid fraud. Why aren't they punishing Texas? I'm glad they're not, because I live here. But so this is trying to force people into compliance, into complicity with Donald Trump, not with the law, but with Donald Trump. It's just forcing states and punishing states that had the audacity to not vote for him, or punishing countries because their president had a haughty voice. So, like, with the whole Minnesota thing, if it's really about fraud control, why is it only fraud control in blue states? Like, I mean, really ask, like, think about that. Do you really think that fraud only happens in blue states? If so, then you're just drinking too much Kool-Aid. There's literal fraud in Texas that's been busted open. If tariffs were illegal, why circumvent the ruling instead of accepting the Supreme Court decision? If you complained about Joe Biden trying to work around the student loan forgiveness thing, why aren't you complaining about Donald Trump trying to work his way around the tariff rulings? Like, you forget about the whataboutisms. I had too many people on here. What about Joe Biden? But what about Donald Trump? Doesn't make what Donald Trump did go away. Joe Biden didn't contradict the actual Constitution and the entire premise upon which the United States was founded. Donald Trump is. If Iran is a real threat, why does the administration's own intelligence contradict its public claims? If they're a real threat now, why did he say that we obliterated it then? If you think that Donald Trump just saying this country is a threat to our existence, and the only way we can avoid that is to bomb them into oblivion again and to go to war with them, is that something that you will defend for every president throughout time? That all we need is just a president to say so? And is that what the Constitution says? Do you actually agree with the Constitution or not? Or do you just agree with Trump? There's just so many things where Donald Trump is an authoritarian extremist. And there are people that, like to yell TDS as though that's a meaningful thing. But the real TDS is just that you defend Trump no matter what he does, no matter how evil he is, no matter how authoritarian. You just knee-jerk spastically defend everything he does and says. He posts, racist images of Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, and you just defend that. There's nothing he can do wrong. But I'm the one that has TDS. These questions reveal a consistent pattern. Federal power deployed selectively with justifications that crumble under scrutiny. So that's today's slideshow. All right, so let's take a look here and see. Sorry, I did not mean to disappear like that. I accidentally hit the wrong button. Okay. All right, I think I'm there. Kelly, you talk to us like... I'm not talking to you, Silver. I'm talking to a lot of other people. Or wait, Oh, that's way... I lost a bunch of comments. Let me see something here. Sorry about this. I hit the wrong button. I accidentally... so let me... think I can go and... Give me a second. I lost all my comments. So I have to go to... here. So that's the right one. Okay, here we go. So can't quite... What are these Jules things for? I need to find that out about. All right. So I can't display these. Okay, here we go. If you lighten the space around your eyes, most IA face finding algorithms won't recognize a face. That's why the filter identifies dark spots as faces like a ghost. Dusty, is that also why they AI is having issues with people of color? I don't know what the jewels are. I had 250 incentive. Well, hopefully that's a good thing for me. I'll have to Google that. But thank you. I appreciate it. It's a... I think she accidentally hit return or too early. Okay. So Dusty said, I would much rather have male, female, X plus sex as the biological part. It's still a massive spectrum. From being born, having formed both parts, to never naturally having puberty, to XXX, XXY to XO. Yeah, I think there's like, maybe 1 or 2% of people that have these irregular hormones, but that's a lot of people. when you put out of 300 million, 1 or 2% becomes like 5 or 6 million. $1,000. Man, if 250 joules is $1,000, then somebody just moved up to the top of my favorite person list. It's a mix of the data set being too small on Black people. Maybe that too. He, them. Okay. I'll try and remember that. Thanks for letting me know. I try to be sensitive, but sometimes my brain gets behind my mouth. The left hates law and order. It's odd, says the person who voted for a convicted felon. Why do you think the left hates law and order? Like, I really think that's such a weird thing to say. Why do you believe that? That's just like, all right, see if all right. So Dusty says, honestly, just getting rid of gender identification makes more sense. I think that would hurt the protected classes that still need to be identified. What protected classes? Oh, somebody said libtard. That's a really, boy, what am I going to do? I don't know how I will ever recover from that. I mean, boy, that kind of creativity. It's just hard to recover from being called a libtard. You never know. All right, so I think we're all caught up, and we're all caught up with the comments, including the ones that I lost. So I think it's about time to come to an end. I don't think Bruce is going to ever explain to me why he thinks that I hate law and order. I don't understand it. Like, people that vote for Trump and claim to be about law and order, when he doesn't seem to be caring about either. I mean, not only is he a convicted felon, he also has just completely ignored like 30% of the court orders against him. He's already ignored more court orders in 1 year than any president has in the entire history of the country. Kelly, you seem like a classic liberal. I don't know what a classic liberal is. I really don't like labels like that because they're just so hard to define. And I would say I am a liberal institutionalist if you were to try to put words on it. I believe that the government in proper hands can be a force for good. I believe that whatever, like, just go Spock on you, greatest good for the greatest number of people. So I think that, like, I believe in progressive taxes because I think that enables more people to rise up and do more. I think that the nation itself does better if the only constraints to being able to develop are your own ambition and your own potential. So I believe in free education, both in high school and college and all the way up to PhD if you can get one. I feel like the better we develop our most essential resource, which is our people, the better as a nation we will be. I believe in when we do that, when we give more people a way out, a way up, crime will come down. I think if you look in countries that have things like universal health care and free education all the way up, and when I say free, I mean tax-funded education. But when you look at countries like that, you'll notice that there is a lower crime rate and a lower violent crime rate. Those things correlate. It doesn't eliminate it, but it definitely makes it less. I think we need immigration reform. I think that our country was developed largely by immigrants that came over here and took the bottom rung jobs that are no longer available to immigrants. Legally, I think we need to make a way for them to legally be able to come over here and do those jobs. I think that's an influx that built up this country. So if that makes me a liberal, if those things make me a liberal, then I'm a liberal. But more, I believe that the power of government can be used for good and that it should be used for good. And I believe that for good means for the people, like actually for the people, not in a rhetorical sense, but in an actual literal sense. Speaking of law and order, what is the deal with the student at Columbia University? How do you spend 10 years? I haven't heard about that. But I know people that spend 10 years in college. They go part-time. They drop out for a couple of quarters or a quarter. They only take 1 or 2 classes. A lot of the people that spend a lot of time in college are there because they actually are just trying to pay their way through rather than go get by on loans and stuff. But I don't know what this Columbia University thing you're talking about is. Did something happen with somebody? Police algorithms being fed the biased arrest reports of people. Police officers to determine whether someone is a criminal is bust completely, both being unable to differentiate people of color, people, and overzealousness. Yeah, that's the thing. I like to say AI in, AI out. You can only get out of AI what you put into AI. So if you put a bunch of, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, if you feed a bunch of stereotypes and racism into AI, you're going to get that out of it. I'm a Democrat. Hey, Democrat. Okay. Levery. U.S. citizens, make sure you're registered to vote this November. Yes. And check, even if you've already been registered, make sure you weren't purged. Classic liberals are called libertarians. Yeah, that's why I was saying it depends on what you're called. I'm definitely a little libertarian. I think in a lot of ways we're probably opposites that way, Skippy. Like I believe in the power of government, and I think you believe the power of government should be as limited as much as possible. Utilitarian. The right doesn't get to talk about morality or the rule of law and be taken seriously. Again, the entire regime is based on breaking the law. And what we've all seen what Trump is like, laughable. Like this is on this, to put it in perspective. And I think about this a lot. Well, recently, because it's only happened recently. But in the entire history of the country, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think as far as I know, there has only ever been one law that was written that only one person could obey. Like there was a law written so that only one person could obey that law. And that person is the Attorney General of the United States. The only one that could follow that law that was written to turn over all the stuff about the Epstein files, Pam Bondi is the only one that could follow that. Now, she could have other people helping her and all of that. But ultimately, even Donald Trump is not the one that can actually do that. The one that can actually do that is Pam Bondi. Now, Donald Trump can order it, but the one that actually follows the law is Pam Bondi. And that law was not broken. Or that law was broken. I'm sorry. That law was not followed. It wasn't followed in multiple ways. And the person in charge of enforcing our laws is the person that broke that law. And now they're going to come along and they're going to tell me about how we don't like law and order. The Attorney General had a law passed that she was the only one that could follow it. And she didn't follow it. She broke the law that was written just for her, the Attorney General. So don't talk to me about law and order and Republicans being the champions of it. You can't get any more opposite than that. Thank you. Portuguese. Are you Brazilian by any chance, or who has the power to enforce the court deals on the president? Well, there's the famous quote. Was it Andrew Jackson? What was the quote? I want to say it was Andrew Jackson and let me see if I can figure that find this real quick. John Marshall. So this was Andrew Jackson. John Marshall made a decision, or the Supreme Court overturned something, and then Andrew Jackson said, John Marshall has made his decision, now let him enforce it. Allegedly. So, but the rhetoric there, the idea is that if the president decides to not follow the court's decision, what can you do about it? Blue tsunami. I'm thinking seismic events. I feel like it's going to be a restructuring of the entire political system. It's going to be so severe. Happy Black History Month. Hey, we're still in Black History Month. Has Donald Trump celebrated that yet? Oh yeah, he did by posting racist things on Twitter with socialist leanings, on online media, online social, or whatever that's called, with socialist leanings. Genuinely investing in education really helped Chicago. We aren't perfect, but immigrants aren't gangs. How is your neck of the woods recently, Kelly? I'm in a weird sort of position. I'm outside of Austin on the Houston side. I'm in this corridor that's gerrymandered into a Republican district. But like the area I live, like I live in a Republican district, but the exact town I live in is like 60-40 Democrat. But, you know, we're gerrymandered, so our votes don't count. During the 2024 election, I only saw hair signs. I did not see a single Trump sign. And there was they wanted to do one of those concentration camps not too far from me, and that got chased out. ICE did a raid on Columbia today. They lied to get into campus housing. Wow. Like, why? They're going after the worst of the worst on college campuses. Mail-in voting is still active in majority of the states doing it. Despite Trump being a dingus. Hand your ballots directly into the post office if you can. Yeah, this isn't new. Texas, you basically have to be on your deathbed to be able to do a mail-in vote. But that reminds me, I need to get my my early vote in for the primary. I still haven't decided if I'm going for voting for Crockett or Tallarico. I like them both for different reasons. Do it before they pass, hopefully the SAVE Act won't get passed, but do it soon so that you don't have to jump through hoops. Get to it. Did you just pronounce that in Kentuckian? What part of Kentucky do you live in? I have a lot of friends in Louisville. It's supposed to be the Senate and the House and the Supreme Court, but they aren't doing it. Yes, that is supposed, like, in a perfect world, they would impeach the president for just deciding to ignore the Supreme Court over and over again. GFY. Okay. It's a weird fetish. Congress is scared of him, Dusty. Yeah. Gotta go. Great stream. Thank you. Oh, appreciate the follow. I hope it was riveting. Is that a frog on your thing? Anyway, my ideals don't align 100% with you, but I can appreciate your good faith arguments and reasoning. Appreciate that. That's what I try to do. I feel like conversations are better if they're conversations. Okay, yeah, see, so this is the opposite. What is TDS? Explain to me why I have TDS. It's just like disagreeing with Trump. Like, that seems to be sort of a lazy argument to just yell TDS rather than anything specific. Texas is having all the crazy news recently about flipping, so don't get too dejected. Hell yeah, that prison getting kicked out of town. Yeah, I think that there is two things, and right now I'm very slightly leaning towards Tallarico. Not because I think he can win over the conservative votes or the moderate votes, but because I think he can win over a lot of Christian votes. And I'm not concerned about, like whether they're Christian votes or not. But I just think he is a Christian who genuinely is a Christian. I think Jasmine Crockett is too, but I don't think she, doesn't have a master's in divinity. And, it's not part of her identity the way it is with him. But he said something that I really liked. He said, imagine if all Christians loved their enemies the way the Bible commands. And that, to me, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. That's a profound statement. And I think that's what he tries to do. And I think a lot of people in Texas, I think there's people that are disgruntled, that are upset with Trump. I think the tariffs, specifically a lot of the farmers that have been hit by that, and then also hit by the, especially beef farmers that are hit by both the tariffs and the mass deportations. And now we're going to have these, the cuts to Medicare and Medicaid on top of that. I think that a lot of those votes could be siphoned off. That's number one. Like, I think Tallarico is pretty palatable to a lot of Texans that would not normally vote for a Democrat. On the other side of that, I think Jasmine Crockett has the advantage of being able to bring in new voters and new Democrats into the party. So I think both could win. The problem I have with the electability vote argument is that we have to accept that only one is electable. But the other thing is, it looks like Ken Paxton is going to win, and Ken Paxton might even be more despised by the majority of Texans than Ted Cruz. And you'd be like, well, Ted, why is he going to win the primary? Well, because, that's only Republicans voting the primary. You've got maybe a third of Republicans that are going to despise him. And there are a third of Republicans that are going to vote for, one of the other two guys, or 2/3 of Republicans almost. So a lot of the ones that are voting against him could be, brought over, or they just won't vote. Like, I think if you have a genuine alternative, and both of them are, I think there's a very real chance. And then on top of all that, you've got this special election they had out in the Dallas area recently, where the guy, like, it was a 34-point swing from Trump to the Democrat. You know, like, so if you're trying, and it was, you know, like in that's pretty reproducible in a lot of ways. So I think there's a real chance. It's been a while. I actually lived in Texas the last time, back when Lloyd Benson won, which was a long time ago. Congress is indeed spineless. TDS is foreigners whining about U.S. citizens. What are we talking about? Just whatever the comments are. Jinns become Muslims. I have no idea at all what that's supposed to mean. You're wrong. Pretty much delusional. Okay. It's mostly the end of the stream. Yeah, we're just wrapping things up. You Democrats are getting dumber by the minute. Wow, great response, dude. How long did it take you to come up with that one? That's like really, really clever. You're getting dumber by the minute. I mean, wow. That's going to be hard to bounce back from. I mean, I might have to like go cry somewhere. Let's see how the cookie crumbles. A lot of people are getting turned off to anyone taking APAC money right now. A lot of people, definitely. Neither one of them, as far as I know. I looked it up. Tallarico took some APAC money like early in his career, in like his first election back in 2019 or something. But I actually, if I'm pretty sure that neither one of them is even is taking any PAC money at all during this election. TDS is foreigners whining about U.S. citizens. I don't know who's doing that. I don't know what that means. All right. So I think that I'm gonna go try and recover from this just devastating, soul-crushing insult that Democrats are getting dumber by the minute, I think it was. So I may have to go see a counselor about that. It's just hard to bounce back from something like that. So anyway, Auf Wiedersehen. Yes, see you tomorrow, but badly spelled. That I remember that one from my 1 year of German in 9th grade. It's by the second. Oh, okay. So the person who thinks I'm getting dumber by the minute is now saying it's by that second, not minute. So okay. You're new here, James. And so I just want you to know we respect apostrophes around here. And so especially if you're going to insult someone's intelligence and you're going to do that not knowing the difference between it's with an apostrophe and it's as the possessive, or it's without an apostrophe. See, it's is the possessive, and it's with an apostrophe is it is. So when you say it's by the second, just say it out loud. It is by the second. So it should be it apostrophe s by the second. And by the way, it should be the second, not that second. So if you're going to insult my intelligence, I'm not the grammar police, but if you're going to insult my intelligence and you're not going to like get it's versus it's, then I'm going to call you out on it. How about you come back to me when you're smart enough to know how apostrophes work? Thanks, MPK. See you tomorrow. See you, Long Bong. Bye, Kelly, and all. Yeah. Well, you know what? You still got it's wrong. So, all right. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow and have a pleasant evening.